here's our new portable sinks. A couple quick things to point out. On the casters on the bottom here, all four have these locks. So down is locked and up is unlocked. So anytime they're in the classroom, they need to be locked so that they're sturdy, so the kids aren't going to be pushing it around. The cabinet door locks right here. We've got these washers, or a flathead screwdriver will be fine, but it turns up to lock. And so they need to be locked anytime they're in the classroom. And to unlock, we'll be able to access the tanks underneath. So here's a quick rundown of the components of the sink. So on the top we have the faucet. Left is the hot water, right is the cold water. There is a stopper for the drain. Inside the cabinet we have two tanks. One is clean water and one is for wastewater. And on the left we have the clean water tank. There's a couple things to point out here. This part right here is a filter. This needs to be pulled out and cleaned every time we refill the tank. To open and remove these tanks, there's just a cap on each one that's going to unscrew. So the clean water tank sits with the cap on top. The wastewater tank has the cap in front. So to remove, you just simply unscrew it, remove the drain line, pull the tank out. The wastewater tank should be emptied when it's about 2/3 of the way full. That will make it a lot easier to pull it out of there and handle. That's also going to do one other thing for us, and I want to mention that with the clean water tank, it's important that the tank does not get completely empty. There's a pump that pumps that water up to the faucet. If the clean water tank goes empty, that pump will just continue to run because it thinks that it's trying to build pressure, and with no water in there it won't be able to build any pressure, and it'll run until it burns out and dies. So it's very important that we don't let the clean water tank become completely empty. And to ensure that, as long as we're emptying the waste tank before it's full, then we know the clean water tank won't be empty. And it'll be important to refill the clean water tank every time we empty the waste tank. Okay, once you've wheeled the sink over near the boiler room, we'll go ahead and unlock the cabinet. By turning it to the right, and we'll open up the cabinet, and we're going to do two things here. We're going to remove both tanks. So again, I'll unscrew both the water line and the drain line from each tank. And with the wastewater, remember we want this to be half to 2/3 full at the most. So when we remove it, we'll turn the tank up and down to the ground to be able to handle it over to the sink. And then the same way with the clean water tank, we'll remove it and we'll take it to the sink to fill. So once we bring in the wastewater tank, we're going to empty it directly into the sink here. When that's empty, we'll load it back into the cabinet. We will fill the clean water tank with fresh water. all I've done is inserted the hose into the tank, leaving it on the floor. And this can be filled with lukewarm water. If we fill it with cold water, it'll take a lot longer for the water heater to get it up to a warm temperature at the sink. So now that the clean water tank is full, we'll remove the hose and we'll take it back to the cabinet to reinstall it. So we now have our clean water tank filled back up and our waste tank emptied. And now we'll reinstall them into the cabinet. So the waste tank, again, will be installed on the right side. Make sure that the label is on the top with the opening for the tank on the top side. We'll attach the drain line. So we want to make sure that the cap is straight when we screw it on, and make sure that we do not cross thread the threads so that it seals down properly. So tighten that down and make sure it's all the way to the right side of it. And then we'll reinstall the clean water tank. The water line will be reinserted into the tank. Lift it into the cabinet. And again, making sure the cap is straight. We'll screw it on. Tighten it down so that it's sealed. This here is the water filter. To remove and clean that, you simply unscrew the cap and pull the filter out. It's just a simple screen. It gets rinsed out in the wash sink in the boiler room. This should be cleaned every time the wastewater tank is empty and the fresh water is filled back up. So when you reinsert this, you want to make sure that the black rubber gasket on the top here is facing up, and insert it back into the cylinder and give just light force to push it up so that we know that it's all the way inserted, and then tighten the cap back down. So when we go to fire the sink back up, we want to make sure the unit's plugged in. All of our hoses are reattached and tightened down properly. Then we'll flip the power switch on. You'll hear the pump start to run, and what that's doing is building pressure for the lines, the water lines up to the faucet. So you'll periodically hear that turn on and off as needed. Once it builds up to the proper pressure, it'll shut off. You'll also hear the hot water heater running as well. So once you've turned it on, we'll shut the cabinet, making sure to lock it so no kids can get access. Turning it to the left, we'll lock the latch. And And then the first thing to do is go ahead and turn the cold water faucet on, which is the right side. That will release air from the lines. And once you have a good flow of water, you can shut that off. And we'll do the same thing on the hot water side. Get the air out of that line. And once that's flowing properly, you can turn that off and we're good to go. Now the unit can stay turned on as long as it will be used within the next 5 hours. So at the end of the day, or when the sink is going to be unused for a long period of time, we need to go ahead and turn the unit back off. Again, we'll unlock the cabinet door by turning to the right on the lock and turn the switch off.